Good morning. Davon here, Discipleship Ministries. Today we're going to be talking about the fight we fight. It's more than a fight of faith. I hope you can understand where I'm going with this by the conclusion. So, some things to note, okay? What was Jesus' purpose? Mark 10:45. For even the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister. He came to serve and to give his life a ransom for many. He came to give his life. That was his purpose. So how did he accomplish the purpose? Or, what examples in the text do we have of him accomplishing the purpose? Jesus suffered fulfilling it, his purpose, right? Matthew 27:46, that's one you can look up on your own. But Hebrews 5:7, it reads, who in the days of his flesh, when he offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard, and that he feared. So he suffered in fulfilling it, and we have the evidence of it here. So it really, what I want you to take note of is that fulfilling his purpose caused him to suffer, right? Suffering was a part of fulfilling the purpose. There was a point there where he had an internal conflict, the fight we fight, and in the internal conflict, here are some things that go along with this fight, right? Desperation. As you can see in the example of the text, he was desperate. We become desperate, and when we become desperate, we become fearless. We find an inner strength, the strength to do whatever it takes to accomplish, the goal of getting out of this desperation, to getting out of this suffering, right? We find reliance upon God, which is what pleases God. When we rely upon him, because it's his pleasure to give us the kingdom. Here in this broken world, we suffer, but it's not going to stay that way. There's a method to God's creativity, creative creation. We find renewed faith, okay, because when we rely upon God, he is faithful. So we get our faith renewed. Then we are rewarded for our faithfulness in relying on him. Now, the only time that I can see Jesus being desperate is when it came down to, him facing his death. So there is a growth where when you have faith in God, desperation, it'll go out the window, because he is a provider. He's not waiting for you to become desperate to provide. Desperation is your mindset. And if you refer to the helmet of salvation, you can understand how to get out of that. That's in the messages on the website. Fearlessness is something he desires. He's commanding us not to fear because of who he is. If you abide in his word, there's nothing to fear, other than him himself. So this is the fight that we fight, and it's just, make sure you read the message. It's key that you understand that even Jesus was at the end of his rope. Jesus was desperate. The one time that we see it, and so he didn't hold on. So the fight we fight reveals your nature. It reveals what you value, what causes you to hold on even at breaking point. And that is, what we'll find in ourselves, in the depth of ourselves, when we empty ourselves, when we give it all we've got, we'll find that inner strength. We'll find who we are. And so that's the fight we fight.